In the 1970s, James Wardrip, also known as Toby a carpenter, owned and operated the Bethany Motel in Bethany, Missouri, originally built by Toby as a skating rink. He later converted it into an 18-room motel located just outside the city limits near Highway 69. The business thrived under his management. When Toby retired at 62, he passed the motel's operations to his eldest daughter, Janet. Toby's younger daughter, Judy, known by her middle name Tolane, had been living in Kansas City, where she had graduated from community college and worked at a large motel. Wanting to help her sister, Judy returned to Bethany to assist with running the family business. The job was demanding, with Janet and Judy handling everything from guest check-ins to cleaning rooms, leaving little time for themselves. Despite her busy schedule, Judy maintained a relationship with her boyfriend, Irving Pavlok, a divorced welder from Texas. Although her father disapproved of the relationship, it continued of duty. It could be said by friends and family that she loved two things: riding her motorcycle and animals. On the morning of December 10, 1984, Judy arrived at the motel to start her shift, bringing with her her beloved Lost, the OPSO dog Moppet. That morning, Janet left for photography class in nearby Kansas City. When she returned to the motel that evening, she went to look for Judy. After not finding her in the office, she began to search the rooms. It was not long until she realized that Judy was missing, something that was highly out of character for her. Judy was not the type to leave the motel for extended periods, and given the bitterly cold December weather in Missouri, Janet doubted that Judy had gone out to walk Moppet. While the sisters occasionally took breaks to grab a bite to eat, Judy's car remained in the parking lot. Her purse, the .38 caliber Smith & Wesson that they kept for security, and the cash in the drawer were all left untouched. The only sign of Judy was a half-full cup of coffee in a room that she appeared to have been cleaning, with the television still playing in the background. Concerned, Janet immediately contacted the local sheriff's office. Police conducted extensive searches of the motel, along with nearby freezers and an adjoining lake. They also questioned guests, but no one reported seeing nor hearing anything unusual. There were no signs of a struggle, and it appeared Judy and Moped had vanished without a chase. When Toby learned about Judy's disappearance, he flew back to Missouri heartbroken. He distributed thousands of missing persons posters across northwest Missouri, believing his daughter had been abducted. Despite their efforts, no leads emerged. Janet was left to manage the motel alone, while dealing with the emotional toll of her sister's disappearance, alongside a lawsuit that Judy had been involved in before she went missing. Judy had been the driver at a traffic accident, which had occurred in Kansas City. At the time of the accident, Judy was not insured, although she was missing. The defendant in the case chose to press on with litigation, and Janet was forced to reach a settlement. Speculation about Judy's fate included theories of abduction by someone passing through on Highway 69, or possibly by someone she knew, as there were no signs of forced entry nor struggle. Judy's family was certain she would not have left willingly. She had shown no signs of depression and had recently purchased Christmas gifts, indicating that she was looking forward to the holidays. Despite the search efforts of friends and family, no sign of Judy nor her beloved dog was ever found. Friends and family also say how much Judy loved Muppet and would never have allowed anything to happen to him. Decades later, Janet, now in her 70s, is still searching for answers. The only person to inquire about Judy's case after her disappearance was Pavlok, who called just a few days later but had not been heard from since. Shirley passed away in 2010 without ever learning what happened to his daughter. If you have any information about Judy Wardrip's case, please contact the Harrison County Sheriff's Office. at area code 6042-53199. Shirley McBride, known as Tippy, moved with her parents and 4 siblings to Peatsfield, New Hampshire in September of 1983. Tippy, 15, with light brown hair and blue eyes, began skipping school and instead hitchhiking to visit her half-sister Donna in nearby Concord, New Hampshire. Described as a free spirit, she struggled in her new environment, smoking cannabis and possibly using other drugs. She later got suspended from school. She asked her parents if she could move in with her older half-sister and her kids at the end of the school year. And by summer of 1984, Tippy had successfully moved in with Donna. As a result, she started hanging out with a tough crowd. However, she still remained close to her parents. Before moving in with Donna, Tippy had started dating a 21-year-old man, and she may have moved in order to be closer to him. Her parents frequently checked in with her, and in early July of 1984, they recall taking her shopping and visiting with her. This would be just prior to her and her boyfriend hitting a rough patch in their relationship. Just days later, on the evening of Friday, July 13th, Tippy and Donna had planned to go out together in order to, as Donna put it, quote, play pranks on people we weren't especially fond of. At the last minute, though, Donna backed out, leaving Tippy to go alone. She left around 9:30 p.m., saying that she'd stopped by babysitting client's house in order to pick up money, and then she'd visit her ex-boyfriend at his workplace, a direct marketing agency called Concord Litho. Both were just a short walk from their apartment. According to news reports, Tippy never actually reached her babysitting client, and it is unclear if she ever connected with her ex-boyfriend when she left. She was dressed in light summer clothes, wearing just denim overalls and a cotton shirt. Her family believed she might have been headed to her ex-boyfriend's to put sugar in the gas tank of his motorcycle, seeking payback for him breaking up with her. Donna later recalled that nothing about Tippy had seemed unusual that night, but Tippy never came home Friday night, nor Saturday morning, nor Saturday night. Her family said she'd run away before, but had always taken personal belongings with her. This time, everything was left behind, and she hadn't been heard from in 2 days. On Sunday, worried and fed up, Donna reported her missing to the Concord Police Department. The McBride family, Tippy's parents and all 5 siblings, reached out to friends and searched popular teenage hangouts around Concord, desperate to find Tippy. Her family told police that she always kept in touch, and they did not think she would have left without contacting someone in her circle. Initially, police assumed Tippy was a runaway, but her sister Robin disagreed, asserting that Tippy had no reason to leave. Donna's Lieutenant Paul Murphy later admitted, quote, she left behind anything someone would normally take if they were running away, suggesting it might not have been her choice to leave. The police added Tippy to the missing persons databases. They circulated her photo and questioned people in her life, including her boyfriend, alongside bikers and ex-cons that she hung around. During one family visit to Donna's, a motorcyclist claimed to have seen Tippy downtown, but it turned out to have been another girl. The family chased other leads, even finding a girl in a newspaper photo who resembled Tippy, but it led nowhere. Tippy's father, Jack McBride, suspected that her boyfriend knew more than he was letting on, and he began following him, once tracking him to a biker bar called Chuggers. But the desperate and dedicated father was eventually charged with stalking. The media wasn't much help, as coverage of Tippy's disappearance did not begin until August 1st, 18 days after the 15-year-old first went missing. Around that same time in July of 1984, a woman named Catherine Raymond found her half-brother, Walter Davis, attempting to burn damp clothes in their fireplace. Walter admitted to her that he had raped a girl and had thrown her body in a river. Catherine reported this to her friend Stacy, who then responsibly informed local police. The clothes, denim overalls, and a cotton shirt matched what Tippy was last seen wearing. And her family confirmed the articles of clothing were hers. Walter told police that he worked in Concord and would sometimes crash at a trailer park on Manchester Street. He claimed that he had just gotten off of work and had gone to White Park Pond, where he happened upon some clothes that were half in, half out of the water. He claimed that he decided to pick them up and bring them home to his younger, teenage sister, believing that they might fit her. The police found this convoluted explanation suspicious. But despite a subsequent search by authorities and Walter's refusal to take a polygraph, Walter was never charged, and the clothes were left forgotten until 2014. When Stacy, the witness who had initially contacted authorities, contacted police again, Concord police later told Tippy's family that, while they had suspected Walter in her disappearance, for unclear reasons, they were not informed about the clothing until 2014. They said when they were informed about the existence of the clothing, they assumed possession of it and stated that they were going to test it for DNA. The results of the DNA testing, however, if it was even done, are yet unknown. Tragically for the family of Tippy, Walter died in 2003, a free man, and he was never officially questioned again about the crime. In 2005, Concord Police Department informed the press that Tippy's 21-year-old boyfriend, whose name has never been released to the public, remained a suspect and had been one since the beginning. The detective updating the public also mentioned that Tippy's ex-boyfriend was not cooperating with the investigation. It's unclear if he's still alive. If he is, he would have been about 60 years old today. It's unclear if Tippy's much older boyfriend is still alive. If he is, he would be around 60 years old today. In 1996, 12 years after her disappearance, the McBride family petitioned the court to declare Tippy legally dead in 2003. Shirley Sr., Tippy's mother, died at her home at the age of 63 without ever receiving any closure. 12 years later, in 2015, Jack McBride, Tippy's father, passed away at the age of 87. Jack heroically never gave up hope or determination to find answers. And the whereabouts of the body of his daughter, her case remains unsolved to this day. If you have any information on the disappearance or the whereabouts of Shirley Ann McBride, known as Tippy, please contact the Concord Police Department at 603-225-8600, or you can call your local FBI office. Joan Ellen Hansen was born on July 19, 1932. She later married a man that she had known from school, and the couple had 2 children. Their happiness was shattered when their daughter tragically died from sudden infant death syndrome, also known as SIDS. The loss coupled with their increasing marital strain led Joan having an extramarital affair, which ultimately ended the marriage. The stress of these 2 events took a toll on her mental health, and she was briefly hospitalized for emotional issues. During this time, in 1956 or 1957, Joan remarried Robert Milton Hansen, also known as Bob, who worked as a carpenter and fisherman. The couple together had 3 children, a daughter and 2 sons. within the first 3 years of their marriage. However, their life together was far from peaceful. Robert was physically abusive, including during Joan's pregnancies, and his violent behavior extended to their children. The abuse left the family in constant fear. One particularly brutal incident involved Robert beating Joan's eldest son so severely that the boy couldn't walk at just 6 years old. He was sent to live with Joan's friend, Patricia Martin, for 2 months before his biological father filed for custody of him. By May of 1962, Joan, bearing for her life, left her marital home and moved in with Patricia, her friend who had temporarily housed her son. She confided in her friend about the abuse and took legal action, hiring an attorney and filing for divorce. Joan provided evidence of her injuries and of her husband's violent behavior, and on August 8, 1962, Joan obtained a restraining order against Robert, requiring him to vacate the family home so that she could return just 2 days later. She disappeared on August 10, 1962. Joan returned to her house to gather belongings while Robert was reportedly away. During a phone call with Patricia that evening, she assured her friend that she was fine and that Robert had not been present. However, the call took a terrifying turn when Joan suddenly exclaimed, "Oh my God, he's in the basement, he's coming." Her screams were the last thing Patricia heard before the line went dead. Patricia tried to call back multiple times, but initially no one answered. Eventually, Robert picked up the phone and claimed, "She's with you," when Patricia asked where she was. Robert reported Joan missing on August 15th, 5 days after she vanished, but by that time Joan had already failed to attend a planned family gathering at the Seattle World's Fair, where she was supposed to meet her sisters. Her disappearance left her belongings untouched, except for a blue sequins dress, which had been one of her favorite outfits. Weeks later, Joan Severley Biscayne was discovered abandoned in the Queen Anne Hill neighborhood of Seattle. The car, usually kept immaculate by Joan, was found with its windows rolled down, tires flat, and interior filled with trash such as cigarette butts, food wrappers, and empty bottles. The state of the vehicle was highly unusual and suspicious, but no fingerprints, evidence of foul play, nor clues to Joan's whereabouts were uncovered. An extensive search of the surrounding area yielded no results following her disappearance. Rumors began circulating that Joan's body might have been buried beneath the barn in Kent Valley, a property the Hansen family had once owned. The barn, which initially had a dirt floor, was covered with concrete shortly after Joan went missing. Decades later, in 2006, authorities used ground-penetrating radar to search the area where the barn once stood, but no new evidence was found. Despite her disappearance, Joan's attorney continued to work on her divorce case. On November 21, 1962, the divorce was finalized. In court, Robert accused Joan of stealing $8,000 from him and denied any history of abuse. However, the judge determined that there was enough evidence to confirm Joan had been subjected to violence. She was awarded 40% of the marital assets, which were to be held in a trust for her children if she did not return alive. In spite of the court order, Joan's share of the property eventually came under Robert's control, and their children got nothing. Joan never used her Social Security number after her disappearance, nor did she leave any other paper trail. Joan was declared legally dead in 1975. In the years following Joan's disappearance, Robert remarried multiple times and faced numerous legal troubles. He was arrested for assault on several occasions, and at one point, he held a woman against her will for 3 days after she responded to an ad for a housekeeping job. Robert was also briefly investigated as a suspect in the Green River Killer case, Although he was later cleared, he spent much of his later life traveling between Washington State and Costa Rica, marrying and divorcing at least 2 women. During that period, he ultimately returned to the United States, where he died by suicide in August of 2009 at the age of 84. Joan's children, who were raised by Robert, grew up believing their mother had abandoned them. Her daughter later struggled with drug addiction and died of an overdose in the 1980s. Joan's sons, who described Robert as a severely abusive father, eventually came to understand that he was responsible for their mother's death. In his will, Robert wrote, "Joan had disappeared years ago, and if she was still alive, she was to inherit nothing." He also disinherited his children. By the time of his death, he'd been estranged from them for years. After Robert's death, the sons filed a wrongful death suit against his estate, claiming he had caused Joan's disappearance. They were awarded $100,000 in damages. Joan's case remains unsolved, and her sons continue to seek answers about what happened to their mother. The police have long considered Robert a person of interest in her disappearance, but no conclusive evidence has ever been found. He was never charged. If you have any information about the whereabouts of Joan, please contact the investigating agency, King County Sheriff's Office,